Welcome, friends, new and old. We are back talking about Quantum Leap. Some breaking news if this was yesterday and I was actually talking about it when it first came out. But Deadline is reporting that the revived series, the second season of that revived series, the second half of that season of the revived series of Quantum Leap. I'm already lost in what I'm saying here. But the season 2B premiere date has been set at NBC, and it's going to move to Tuesday for the remaining 5 episodes. So let's read down a little bit here. There's not too much information in this, but we have a return date that's set for Quantum Leap Season 2B. It's going to premiere Tuesday, January 30th at 10 p.m. And again, that is a change in day, which is a bit odd, but whatever. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's moving from its previous Wednesday slot, and it's going to take over the spot left by Found and wrap its first season on January 16th. Okay, I don't even watch that show. And frankly, I watch Quantum Leap on Peacock anyways the next day. So that means I'll be getting it, I guess, Wednesday morning, because generally I watch it the next morning. But that's an interesting choice. Thursdays, well, I guess it was Wednesday night, but I didn't get a chance to watch it until Thursday, seemed like kind of a packed slot. That's when a lot of the sci-fi shows that, I don't know if this really covers the same genre of people, but that's when like the Star Trek shows, and I think maybe even the Star Wars shows, and all of those things were actually coming out. So it was just kind of a packed day. I wonder if this is actually going to free up a little bit of space for people who want to watch multiple things on the same day. The remaining 5 episodes of this 13-episode Season 2 will conclude with a 2-hour season finale on February 20th from 9 to 11, and all episodes will be streaming the next day on Peacock. So does that mean we're actually getting just 4 more weeks? I guess that would basically mean that, and since they have the dates right here, I'm sure I could do some quick math to figure that out. So we're basically coming very, very quickly to the end of this season, and forgive me if I'm mistaken right now, I don't believe we have any sort of concrete, definite plans that season 3 is actively going to happen and is actively going to be in the works. So I'm curious to see how this will wrap up. Now, it does specifically say here that it will be the season finale, so there's no set cancellation or anything, and we go on to see here that Quantum Leap ranks as a top 5 drama this season in the 18 to 49 demo. Interesting that they've kind of included that now. They ramped that up to 18 to 49, because I was always under the impression that once you hit your mid-30s, you were entirely irrelevant to the advertisers and the networks and stuff. So good to see they're now kind of creeping up to include people all the way up to almost 50 in who they actually care about. And it drew 4.9 million viewers across all platforms. That's just some good numbers, some good background information. I honestly haven't really dug into that myself, because those types of numbers, even when they're good, even when they're bad, even when they're kind of meh, they can all be interpreted and just rearranged in whatever manner you want to kind of fit your narrative, if you like the show, if you don't like the show. And they just kind of generally bore me. So I'm not one to go into and try to break down what the numbers actually mean. But it is good to see them, and it is good to see that people are actually watching the show, at least to some extent. And then we just have a lot of background information here. It doesn't really seem to say anything else as far as what the episodes will be about, anything about season 3, if they're going to wrap up storylines. That means we only have a couple of weeks left here of Quantum Leap this season. And based on all of the things that they were setting up in season 2, all of the dropped plot lines from season 1, all of the things we still have to deal with, and potentially even bringing in those older original Quantum Leap elements, I think the only thing we're really going to see by the end of this season 2, fingers crossed for more in the future, is probably some sort of forward momentum in wrapping up, or at least changing, of this cross-time weird relationship that Ben is having with Hannah, where he keeps running into her after certain periods of time. I don't think they're going to pull a Doctor Who thing, so I don't think they're going to be meeting out of order a la River Song and the Doctor from that show. I think it's going to be a lot more straightforward, but I think that's also going to lay the groundwork for further implications about things being established and built up throughout the timeline. They're changing days, and we just took this relatively large break, and I would call it a mid-season finale. They were actually calling it a mid-season finale, but we have 5 episodes left, so it's not a even split because it's a 13 episode season. Plus, we took those random breaks throughout the series in season 1 and season 2, and I know there were a lot of underlying factors, especially this time, as far as the strikes potentially put a hold on filming and all of that stuff. So maybe there was a needed thing for that. But I just think that's a killer of momentum, especially for shows like this. If you're doing a sitcom, if you're doing a typical 22, 24, even 20 episode season, which doesn't happen all that often anymore, these giant breaks in the middle and even week to week breaks don't do all that much to make people lose interest or kind of forget that the show exists. It's just a momentum killer and a mood killer, and especially if you're trying to track this stuff online and keep up with theories and go over what people are thinking about it, it just kind of doesn't have that long-lasting thing that I think a show like this needs. I don't think that even if you're a faithful watcher of on-air television, you're getting all that much promo and just material that this show is coming back. It's not really ramping up those expectations, and especially if you're watching these things on a streamer, on Peacock, for instance, because that's where the show lives. I don't think they're doing all that much to say, hey, Quantum Leap is coming back, you definitely need to tune into this. So the real meat of the people that are carrying the torch for these shows are people online talking about them, whether it's YouTube or Reddit or wherever you get this information. And I know I'm rambling a lot here, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents because I feel like these breaks are inevitably what's going to lead to the demise and the downfall of a lot of these shows, because it's just an outdated model. And the same way, I don't think that shows that you drop all at once are really going to have that staying power. So I think there needs to be a happy middle ground where you drop the weekly thing on streaming, but you don't take breaks. Maybe there's even another way to do it where you drop it every couple of days, 2 episodes a week or something. You need to allow the fan base, which is building up online, which is something we didn't have in the past. You need to allow that community to kind of come together and assemble and sort of do the promotion work for you to keep these shows in the limelight for the long term. And I know that's kind of a new concept and something that we're still dealing with, but I just wanted to get that out there. What are your thoughts? Are you excited for what's to come in these final few episodes? Do you think we're getting a season 3? And do you think that they're going to completely blow it up and change the premise once again? Whatever you think, leave that down below. Like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. And until next time, I hope your next sleep takes you home.